Last summer was meant to be Russia's moment, the point when Vladimir Putin's massive push would finally collapse Ukraine's defensive ring and seize the strategic city of Pokrovsk. Moscow poured in an assault force, allegedly numbering 110,000 troops, convinced the city's logistics hub would fall beneath sheer numbers. Instead, as September closes, Pokrovsk still stands. Worse for Russia, thousands of its soldiers are now trapped in a tightening Pokrovsk kill zone with almost no way out. On September 25, reports described Russian formations around Pokrovsk as being sealed into a cauldron, a pocket of forces cut off from the main Russian group. Ukrainian units have closed gaps in the Russian lines through coordinated ground maneuvers, while drone swarms enforce the no-go areas, turning any escape route into a lethal gauntlet. The result, Russian soldiers pushed deeper into isolation and trapped in positions from which retreat is nearly impossible. The fighting is fiercest in the Dobropilya sector outside Pokrovsk. Ukrainian forces there have methodically fragmented Russia's offensive arrays, seizing the corridors Russian troops once used and forcing isolated pockets to fend for themselves. That encirclement is precisely what commanders in Kyiv have been aiming for. President Volodymyr Zelensky highlighted the operation's success when he noted substantial ground regained by Ukrainian forces' gains that northern and western press have called important and strategically decisive. While official Russian channels remain silent about the disaster, Ukrainian and independent outlets report grim logistics for the encircled, shortages of ammunition, medical supplies, and food. The defenders inside the cauldron are being steadily thinned out, and attempts to reinforce them are routinely intercepted. Take Pankivka, a village in the Dobropilya zone. Ukrainian counterattacks there have driven Russian occupiers back, a success credited in part to the Azov Corps, which has been active in the Pokrovsk theater since mid-August. Azov's operations helped sever a Russian salient that had threatened to envelop Pokrovsk. When Russian command tried to retake Pankivka, it could assemble only a handful of weak elements, several infantry groups, and a Marines regiment. Many never reached the village, preempted by Ukrainian strikes while en route. Video posted by frontline channels shows how small Russian detachments attempting to reinforce Pankivka are being annihilated by drone swarms. One 10-man unit, reportedly moving toward the village, was overrun. 9 were killed and 1 surrendered. Such episodes reveal both Ukraine's close reconnaissance and the ferocity of its tactical interdiction. Russia has adapted using motorcycles ahead of tanks to evade drone detection, but Ukraine has countered that adaptation. Motorcycle assault groups have been intercepted and destroyed before they reach objectives, proving that mobility alone cannot defeat the persistent drone umbrella. The Ukrainian approach in Dobropilya combines maneuver defense, layered intelligence, and quick tactical decisions, producing what frontline commanders call lethal gray zones. Strips of ground constantly watched by UAVs where any movement is likely to be spotted and struck. That's precisely what the Ukrainian commanders describe. In an interview, a senior Azov officer using the Nom de Guerre Lemko showed maps indicating multiple encirclements. Here, and here, we cut them off. They are tactically encircled, he told reporters, pointing to 3 cauldrons. Lemko argued that while Russia fields superior numbers, Ukrainian maneuvering, information gathering, and rapid counterattacks have nullified that advantage. He estimated Ukrainian forces as 40,000 against more than 100,000 Russians in the sector, yet Ukrainian tactics have triumphed where mass had failed. Ukraine's commander-level reports back the claim. Government sources say roughly 160 square kilometers around Dobropilya and Pokrovsk have been retaken, with additional cleared areas stretching further. Since mid-August, Ukrainian counter-operations reportedly liberated 7 settlements and cleared 9 more, eroding the gains Moscow had claimed earlier in the campaign. Casualty figures underscore the price Russia is paying. Local reports attribute thousands of Russian losses in the Pokrovsk direction, numbers in the low thousands, with well over 1,000 killed. Logistic collapse compounds the issue. Resupply convoys intercepted, supply vans turned into fireballs, and reinforcements shredded in transit. Russia's attempts to deliver ammunition and food are repeatedly neutralized before they can reach the trapped formations. Ukraine's model is brutally simple. Cut the enemy's supply arteries, isolate pockets, then use drones and concentrated artillery to prevent relief. Each supply attempt is a target. Every convoy destroyed tightens the noose. With frontline resupplies cut off for weeks, besieged Russian units face dwindling ammunition, decreasing medical capacity, and mounting attrition. Commanders in Kyiv say the options for those enclosed are now stark: surrender, starve, or be destroyed. Meanwhile, Moscow continues to export bravado while tactical reality bites. Reports suggest some Russian reinforcements sent to the theater are not the polished elite units claimed by propaganda, but mixed or debilitated contingents, even units composed of conscripts with poor medical fitness reducing their combat effectiveness. Western outlets have highlighted claims that many new arrivals suffer from illnesses and lack proper equipment or morale, raising questions about the true quality of the forces committed. On the battlefield, Ukraine is not complacent. As Russian logistics break down, Kyiv's brigades are probing the gaps. Within days of supply lines being severed, Ukrainian forces launched localized offensives east of Orikhiv and south of Robotyne, reclaiming ground as Russian fronts faltered. HIMARS and other long-range fires target the few alternative routes Moscow could use, turning potential detours into death traps. This is not merely a local tactical reversal, it's indicative of a wider trend. Ukrainian forces combining massed ISR, drones, and mobile artillery to turn Russian numeric superiority into a liability. The danger for Moscow is systemic. As logistics collapse and losses mount, the ability to sustain large offensives evaporates. So where does this leave Pokrovsk? For now, the city holds. Russia's ambitious summer offensive has stalled and is being rolled back in places. Reports suggest Moscow is still keen to try again, sending elite brigades and airborne units to salvage momentum, but whether those formations can perform when the supply web is shredded remains doubtful. In Dobropilya, the cauldron strategy continues to squeeze. Experts note that if Ukraine maintains pressure and denies resupply routes for just a few more weeks, the trapped forces will either be compelled to surrender en masse or be destroyed. That outcome would not only mark a major tactical victory, but would also erode Russian operational capability in the entire Donetsk sector. This chapter of the war reveals a new reality. Numbers alone no longer win. Precision logistics denial, ubiquitous drone coverage, and adaptive ground defense are changing the calculus of modern offensives. Pokrovsk's survival shows how an army with fewer resources but superior information and mobility can outmaneuver a larger, territorially committed force. The fighting continues, and the toll for Moscow keeps mounting. As Ukrainian commanders consolidate gains and exploit Russian logistic failures, the trapped soldiers in Dobropilya face a shrinking list of options, and the battlefield's momentum has, for now, decisively shifted in Kyiv's favor.